I was with a gang of lads, you know. I'm a girl on a boys' night out. I sort of thought, is any of the lads going to step in? And everyone was just like, just leave it. And I sort of said, you know, oh, shall I go and guard him, you know, step in front of him, try and get in the way? You know, everyone's like, no, don't be stupid, don't be stupid. And I sort of looked around, you know, trying to catch people's eye on the bus, like, but everyone was very much almost pretending it wasn't happening. Unless you get stuck in straight away, it becomes harder and harder to step in because as it goes on, you sort of think, well, it might be over in a minute. You know, the bus driver's probably going to kick him off the bus in a second. I think everyone was scared. Not scared of what was actually happening, but I think you're scared of what could happen. There's this sort of contagious thing, okay, no one's acting, therefore it reinforces this sense that it's right not to act. And no one did anything. I didn't do anything. After it had been going on probably just a couple of minutes, the bus driver must have pulled up, opened the doors and just told them to get off. The lad got off and they all chased after him. It was almost like we all sort of, you sort of come together to acknowledge, phew, that's over. And I suppose by sort of, by coming together and finally, you know, having a bit of eye contact and having a bit of an acknowledgement that something had happened, it is a way of sort of being relieved, but also forgiving each other, perhaps, you know, and forgiving yourself. It quickly turns from being something you sort of feel bad about, oh, I should have stepped in, you know. We very quickly went through reason after reason after reason when we were talking about it throughout the night of why it was definitely right not to have stepped in. You grow up believing, like, someone will help me if I'm in trouble. You want to believe that, you know, someone will come to my rescue. What view of humanity are you going to grow up with if that very basic hope that if you're in trouble, someone will come to your aid, if that has been absolutely proved not to be the case for you?
Been late night shopping at IKEA, and I came home to Waterloo Station, which is near where I live, and I was walking home from the station at about 11:30 at night. I've never felt particularly at risk in London walking around late at night. I'm a fairly large bloke, and although I wouldn't know what to do in a fight, I've never felt I'm likely to be targeted. I became aware that as I was walking away from the station, there were a couple of guys coming down the road. I can remember that they're really young. They can't have been more than early 20s. One of them's wearing a suit, and they're both clearly drunk. And the one who's wearing a suit is what I can only describe as calling me names. He's in a sort of bumbling, drunken fashion, trying to wind me up, I think. And I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but it was on the level of, haven't you got big ears, mate? Whatever it was really childish and a bit odd, but not threatening. They start this, I don't know, as they're 10, 15 meters down the road. So I'm sort of walking past them, and he's kind of doing this all the time, but he's coming up to me. And then there comes a point where we pass each other, and then they're heading off, I guess, towards the station, and I'm heading off towards where I live. And at first, I just tried to ignore it. And then after a while, I thought, well, this is just out of order. At that time, I used to challenge antisocial behaviour quite a lot. I used to sort of see it as my sort of duty as a citizen. And partly because I didn't feel remotely threatened by this, I said something. Now, I can't remember what I said, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't, "Oi, mate, do you want to fight?" Because I've never been in a fight with anyone. But whatever it was enough. Because the immediate response to what I said was, one of the guys said, "Oh, you shouldn't talk to my mate like that." And the other guy just looked livid and came flying towards me, absolutely charged with anger. The next thing I remember is being on the ground and a boot repeatedly striking me in the head, and being curled up, and this boot coming and coming and coming, and not knowing how to stop it. I can remember feeling completely helpless. The actual attack happened so quickly, and my memory of it is so riddled with black holes that I don't know if at that moment I thought, oh God, I'm going to die. In that sense, it was like something out of a nightmare where you suddenly realise everything has changed with almost impossible speed.
It seemed so unfair, so unprovoked, this attack. I'm not the sort of guy that gets stuck in. I really am not. But I lost it. I thought, this is so unfair. I was incandescent with rage. I was shocked at myself, at being so angry.
He was shouting at the chap, sort of saying, "Leave the guy alone, leave the guy alone. What are you doing?" He was incensed, and I could feel the anger coming from him. And I was sort of holding on to him and saying quietly to him, "Don't go yet, don't go yet." I wanted to protect Howard.
Geraldine was begging me not to go over there, but I was not thinking rationally. My instinct was to go over and, I don't know, but just to make him stop kicking this bloke in the head.
I was saying to him, "I will phone the police and the ambulance. We'll stop it that way. Don't intervene, you'll get hurt." But he was carrying on anyway.
I think I said, you know, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And I was shouting really loudly. I think in the back of my mind, I had the idea that if I made enough noise, someone would come. The
guy who was doing the kicking looked up and said, "What the fuck do you think you're doing? I'm gonna come and fucking kick your head in. You're next." He did move across the street a bit, so I thought actually he was going to come and attack Howard. At that point, I was really, really scared, and I was shaking.
When the blade hits you, it's like a big electric shock. He just like thrashed away at me. He stuck one in my elbow and it went in 1.5 inches up my elbow. He got me in the ribs, but luckily it was across my ribs, it didn't go through them. And he got me up the back of the neck. And he did a big swinging blow over and he hit me right in the shoulder, in the flesh. and he put a 3-inch hole down my shoulder blade. And then he slashed my stomach. You could feel this dragging sensation that the knife was being torn through your flesh.